HR tech, work tech, and investment are transforming the future of work. Are you in the know? Welcome to the Work Tech Podcast. Join host George Larocque for expert insights on the trends, M&A activity, and strategies shaping the workplace. Brought to you by oneworktech.com and the Work Defined Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Work Tech. It's me, George Larocque, and I've got a great conversation for us today. I've been looking forward to this because there's so much happening in the market with employers and HR leaders, everyone really trying to figure out where can we leverage automation and AI, like getting into some real use cases, like where is it going to help us the most? And I've been working with Ahva Sadeghi at Symba for a while, and Symba has some great use cases to share. What Symba's doing is really automating a variety of people processes throughout the employee lifecycle in different types of constituencies, and doing it for some really exciting employers, some exciting brands. So I'm excited to have Ahva here to share some of this. Ahva, welcome.
Hi, George. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan, and I've watched many folks that I admire on the show, so happy to be on here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, thanks. It's great to have you here. So for anyone that doesn't know Symba, might not know you, let's just start with a quick intro, and then we'll go from there.
Of course. We are Symba, not for the Lion King, but for symbiotic relationships. Full disclosure. And I'm Ahva Sadeghi. My background is initially focused on economics, and so I've become very passionate about workforce development, work, just how we do our work the way we do. And we began building Symba initially focused on early careers, which is a segment of a workforce that is somewhat messy. And we became obsessed with how do we design and create a process that is seamless within a really large organization. And we've learned a lot. And now we've expanded our product beyond just early career. So we really are making automation accessible. And some of the people processes that we support are pre-onboarding, onboarding, offboarding, paid leave, compliance training, you name it. And our customers don't need a technical background. They can create a single workflow in under 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. So we'll dig in on some of that. But one thing that I always like to understand, because you mentioned that you started in one place with early careers, and you listed a bunch of other really interesting things. So that sounds like a journey to me. So let's talk about that journey, that sort of backstory, your origin story, so to speak. So how did you get here?
Yes. Well, startup is not a journey, right? It's a whole lot of ups and downs and mess. Exactly. Yeah. It's like they say some days we win, others we are just surviving, but it's always learning. And something I share is, when I was in high school, I won the grand prize for the ExxonMobil Science Fair on a failed science fair project because I explained 5 reasons I think it failed and how I'm going to test each one of them. And so I think we take that approach at Symba. Everything is an assumption, and we're running 5+ campaigns at once and really quick sprints to learn what we can do. And so once we got our foot in the door with huge logos like CVS Health, Genentech, we, had our ears open, right? We started off with a space that we were deeply passionate about, that we knew about. We knew there's so much more out there. So constantly asking questions, figuring out where we can add values, kind of just our North Star.
Yeah. So was there a point in that journey where you took a turn into other, I don't know if you use the word pivot or not, but you shifted gears into a broader solution? Like, what was going on in the market that or with your customer base that led you to that?
Yes. So we had somewhat of a rude awakening, I would say almost like 24 months ago. And many of our customers, we had focused on tech. Based in the Bay Area, we were part of an accelerator program out here. And so we kind of grew in that space, and our customers were being impacted by layoffs. Mm-hmm. And if the customer is not there, how are they going to renew when the renewal comes up, right?
Right.
And so this was kind of, we saw a few start to happen, and then it became, over the next few months, we saw more and more attrition. And so we realized very quickly we have to shift gears into different markets and began running campaigns. We tapped in and studied insurance, retail, life sciences, biotech. We needed to move as fast as we could, given that we were a B2B enterprise SaaS software, and those sales cycles are not that fast. So we did what we could, and we learned very quickly, and we moved with a lot of success into retail and life sciences.
So, Ahva, in the market right now, are you seeing any increase in interest in, your tech or tech in general?
Absolutely. And it's really exciting to see this movement and focus on automation. We, in the last quarter, have seen almost like 4x the number of inbound demos. And and I always, our team always asks as a startup, how'd you find out about us, right? Because we want to know where to spend more, invest more of our resources. And we're hearing tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity. And so those kinds of customers are fantastic because they're already adopting AI. They're already using those technologies. So they're great. They're excited to try things out and move with us. And I think it's really refreshing to see folks doubling down on this type of technology. We need more of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm excited for you that the inbound pipeline is growing so rapidly. That's a big number, 400%. But that's so interesting because everybody's talking about how the world is shifting to Gen AI, sort of replacing traditional, Google search so. Is there anything that you think you're doing that aligns you in these tools, or is it just that your content's exposed and they're leveraging the content? How do you think you got to this?
Well, I think hopefully they'll give us some more insight, because maybe this will be like a new business line. It'll be like, instead of SEO, it'll be like AI engine optimization. But, we have so many ebooks and so much content out there. We're, constantly releasing information, webinars, books, and some of them are gated, but everything is free. And so maybe I think that's helped. So we've always believed in Symba, creating value for our customer, even before they become actual customers. So all those resources hopefully are feeding the engine. And so that really makes us want to create more content and create more value.
Yeah, I think that also, there's this moment, I hope it doesn't go away, but it's encouraging for startups and companies that have a great solution that can't afford to put their thumb on the SEO scale with with the same kind of budget that a bigger brand might have. So that's encouraging, because it's looking at the content itself, the quality of the content, the message. So hopefully that'll stick around. That will stick around for a while. But
maybe I'm saying thank you very often to it, or I'm using it so much for Symba. Now it knows Symba so well. So
before we move on, I need to let you know about my friend Mark Pfeffer and his show, People Tech. If you're looking for the latest on product development, marketing, funding, big deals happening in talent acquisition, HR, HCM, that's the show you need to listen to. Go to the Work Defined Network, search up People Tech, Mark Pfeffer. You can find him anywhere.
Yeah. And talk about, how what does the product do? What does that look like? So for, you mentioned a CVS or a Genentech, what is, where does it start and end, and, how do customers leverage the technology?
Of course. And if I could, if Ahva was looking forward to see what the product looks like right now, I think that our team would be wowed and surprised in a lot of ways, even our customers, because this wasn't the initial direction that we thought we would go. But it was kind of like this aha moment where we realized that once we began building a process and making it standardized, that we could build workflows. Even though our customers thought that, every use case was an edge case and everything was very, very different, there was an opportunity to actually stream every step together. And what we did was we studied other solutions that are not in our space, not in people or HR. So we're talking CRM platforms, different workflow automations for like customer onboarding tools. But CRM and sales was a very interesting use case because we thought, okay, the sales process, somebody is, they become an opportunity, just like a candidate just applies to a job, they become aware. And then they become a closed one, or they become, in the people terms, your all-star. So we thought, what can we do to build an omni-channel or like an account-based marketing approach to the people experience? And so that was kind of our philosophy and thought process when we started to build out workflows and journeys. And so we piece together steps, we integrate with different solutions, and we make rigid systems like Workday or SAP that might need a little bit more fluidity for these people teams, and make it accessible for them.
Yeah. So, and this could be a candidate, or it could be an employee, depending on what the use case is. How many systems do you integrate, like in any given customer environment? Is it largely the HCM, like a Workday, or might there be other tools, that you're grabbing data from or, linking to?
Absolutely. So on average, we would see about 12 per customer.
Okay.
And sometimes a customer may start out with more tools with us. And the goal is like to sunset some tools or merge certain tools together, because you may bring on one tool and then you might realize you need something else. So you have to add on to that tool and you purchase another tool. But if you have a system that brings it all together, then maybe you can start to eliminate different tools. So that's kind of also a win for us. When we can start to eliminate different tools and systems, we integrate with over 300 tools right now.
Okay, that's really interesting. And what about the workflows themselves? Are they is it a templated sort of experience? What does it take to, because everything's workflow, so much of what we do, and how do I, when we've got a process to automate, how long does it take to get to that end state where it's automated?
So this is like my favorite part, and like the part where I love like the creativity of our customers. And I think there's a lot of, conversation around how using AI in the right way will actually enable us to become more creative and think outside the box. And we've seen our customers, and this is where we discover, wait, we're way more than an onboarding tool or, just like a first 90-day tool. We saw one of our customers, Genentech, use Symba to build an offboarding program. And we were like, wait, that's brilliant. And then we had another team ask, can we use this for a rotational program? Then we had another team said, we want to use this for a manager training program or a, executive leadership training program. You can also use this for performance improvement plan. You can get very creative. It's like we've given our customers Lego blocks in a lot of ways, but we do have templates because it can be very daunting to know where to get started. But I'd say that most of our customers have already a spreadsheet or a starting point. For the most part, we're not starting from like ground zero. They're doing something, right? But it's just like piecemeal together, duct tape, slapped together, doesn't work well. There are kinks, things fall through the cracks, but there's something, right? And so we take it to that next level. And so we kind of work with them during the onboarding process. And we have like a design thinking workshop we do during implementation to understand what their flow is. And then from there, like a phase 2 is, because they now have a visual representation of where people are getting stuck, what needs to be optimized. Then every quarter we set goals and constantly optimize each workflow.
Wow. So it's you're offering a platform that there's a starting point. You've got some common use cases, you've got templates, but like any sort of system like this, it sounds like once the customer gets in there, they start applying this. Well, this is working so well over here. This process is just like this other, from onboarding to offboarding or what have you. So are they able to just build those out sort of themselves, or are you along for the ride with each of those? How does that work?
They're able to build them out themselves. So we're oftentimes like in this like, wow, like surprise aha moment when they like kind of are presenting their work to us. And it's so cool to like see your customer like be very proud of building out this workflow, because it can be very basic, but it can also get very intense and robust. Sometimes we see customers, they start off with their phase one workflow, and then they constantly build and build and build and add on it. And then they may tweak it, right, for different segments, different locations. We work with a lot of global customers, so they might need certain workflows for certain locations or timelines. And then it's been kind of a brain exercise of building these workflows, because you have conditional statements, you can have sequential, different flows, you can have dynamic inputs. So it can get really crazy very quickly.
Right. So you're having some great success in the market right now. And I'm curious because as I mentioned earlier, there's this challenge, which is, everybody's excited about automation and AI, but our customers, the HR leaders, talent leaders, that's they're people. They're not okay. So in the market right now, everybody's out looking at AI and automation, and I'm curious, with the success that you're having, are people finding you looking to solve a business problem and then discovering how automation fits, or are they out? I think there's a undercurrent in most projects right now to understand where can we leverage automation and AI. Are they finding you in that way and then discovering where to apply it? How's that working for you right now?
Yes. Well, I would say they're finding us in both ways, but we like to work with, the first group the most, right? Because there's a focus, they know what they want to solve, and there's actually, we can demonstrate value and impact in that sense. And it's really important not to just do things for the sake of doing things, right? We don't want to just say like, we're using AI because it's a buzzword. We want to understand, the impact that it can have. And for us, that's, the win is the automation is like the how, right? It's the vehicle to get to that bigger end and that impact in that picture. So for us, we can save time, but ultimately we want to understand, how do we ramp up engineers? For example, we're working with Netflix. They want to ramp up their engineers very quickly and understand, okay, if they're ramped up really quickly, how does this impact our succession planning long term? Because now it's okay if people leave, because we can get people to this state so fast, right? And I think it's not maybe resisting these dynamics of how people are going to move, but maybe building the infrastructure to meet the new dynamic workforce.
Yeah. And do you find that your customers they're larger enterprises, so they've got some, existing level of IT support and process that they're used to. So are you finding I'm just curious, is there fear of automation, or do you think it's more embracing this to sort of augment, their current experience?
Well, I would say there's fear of change in general, right?
Okay.
I just think people resist change. Change is always hard. I think, George, I always give you the example of like moving, right? It's like you're moving to a new home. It's usually going to be bigger, better, but it's not fun to move. Packing is never fun, right? And so I think we do see that resistance. And one of the things that I hear often is like, oh, well, we do it this way, or our process is, a little different. And the reality is, yes, every company, every team, every individual is different. But for the most part, there's a common denominator. And so we need to make decisions at the margin. Where can we create the most impact? And potentially we can't check every single box. So this is a really critical moment for people leaders, HR leaders, to step up and partner with technology leaders. We've had a pilot example, a proof of concept that we did initially with the HR team. There was so much resistance that the technology team just pulled it and said, we're going to take ownership because this has to happen. So, I think it's really, demonstrates a commitment to automation, but also there is an opportunity to have people leaders bring that human-centric approach to workflow automation. It doesn't need to be one or the other. There can be influences and ways to design an experience that is still great and puts people at the center and empowers them.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're in your current state, you're seeing a lot of success. Can you talk about how do you define success? How do you define it? How do your customers define it? How are you defining it? I guess, just checking in on, sort of where things are today, how things are going.
Yes. So when we launch with our customers, we kind of create our own like scorecard and rubric. And that's been really fascinating to us to discover what success means to them. Phase one, like I said, save time, right? But that's so basic. It's like, okay, obviously, right? We better save time here. But the phase two is how do we impact retention metrics? How do we potentially change and support upskilling or transitions that are needed within the workforce, supporting maybe skills development for roles that are maybe very difficult for them to hire and fill those roles. So if the time to fill is very, very long, can we potentially take somebody internally in the organization and get them up to speed in half the time than, a role that we need to fill? So there's a few different more nuanced examples like that, but we study the number of workflows that are run, how many folks go through them. We study the number of workflows and like how many types they built. But we're still defining that and redefining what success looks like, because the goal is that they don't have to log in too much, that this is running on the back end without them even potentially knowing they're in a workflow.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So given the nature of the solution that you're providing, it's, it should really become fluid, and it's not just in the flow of work. It sort of is the flow of work. Is that
exactly?
Yeah.
Dynamic, okay. Interactive, and we're really excited about getting to that phase. But what we've done really effectively is start out very simple, make it bite-sized, approachable. Many workflow automation tools are very technical, very heavy lifts. And so oftentimes the people team has to put in a request, and they continuously are putting a request, and sometimes that doesn't happen. So with Symba, they don't need to put in a request. They can do it themselves in a few clicks, leverage templates, duplicate, constantly iterate, and it's very empowering for them and everyone who goes through those workflows.
Yeah. The enterprise class sort of automation and experience layer, but usable, accessible, and you've put the complexity, on the back end, not in front of the user. That's very strong, very powerful. So speaking of you talked about getting to a state. What does the future look like for the product and for Symba? Where are you headed?
So we're very excited about digging deeper into intelligence. I think given the data that we're capturing here, it's going to be fascinating what we can learn. Like, how do we create an all-star at this organization? And, how do we maybe reverse engineer that and empower them? Because we at Symba, from the very beginning, our investment and our focus and passion about early careers is this notion of build versus buy talent. And so we really believe that you can create all-stars if you give them the right resources, the right training, create the gym that they can be very successful. So that's what we're obsessed with. How do we really empower people from day one and continuously learn?
Yeah, that's great. So how can folks find out more? What's the best way for folks to learn more about all of this?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'll share my LinkedIn with you. But our website is Symba. It's Symba with a Y, Symba.io. And you can sign up for a demo. We'd love to show you these workflows, give you the keys to maybe play around with it, and we'll have some fun.
Yeah, cool. Well, Ahva, I really appreciate your time and coming here to tell your story. And thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George. Great feeling.
Thanks to everyone for listening or watching wherever you're at.
Thanks for tuning in to the WorkTech podcast. Visit us at oneworktech.com and find out why WorkTech is considered the most trusted source of market intelligence and strategic advice for WorkTech. Subscribe to the WorkTech YouTube channel for video episodes and exclusive content. And be sure to check out the entire Work Defined podcast network at wrkdefined.com for more podcasts on the world of work.